Comfort is killing you, and Nietzsche saw it coming before most people could even name it. Comfort is not the warm blanket on a cold night or the soft chair after a long day. Comfort, in the way Nietzsche described it, is the slow poison that robs life of its sharpness, its intensity, and its demand for greatness. We imagine the enemy is pain, struggle, or hardship, but those are the very forces that create strength. Nietzsche warned that the true enemy of the human spirit is the seductive voice of ease, the gentle hand that tempts us to stop striving. When people live only for comfort, they trade their power for weakness without even realizing it. The modern world is obsessed with comfort, and Nietzsche would have called it dangerous. Every invention, every new philosophy, and every soft piece of advice is designed to protect you from discomfort. But the moment you eliminate discomfort, you eliminate the very conditions that make growth, creativity, and greatness possible. Nietzsche understood that pain was not just an unavoidable part of life, it was the soil out of which strength and genius are born. If you protect yourself from every wound, you also protect yourself from every victory. To him, the danger of comfort was not physical death, but spiritual decay. When Nietzsche spoke of decadence, he was describing exactly this process. A culture that becomes addicted to ease stops producing warriors, artists, and visionaries. Instead, it produces consumers, followers, and slaves to convenience. The more comfort is worshipped, the less capable people become of facing reality head-on. Think of the modern obsession with soft psychology, the endless wave of advice designed to protect fragile feelings. Nietzsche would not have called this healing. He would have called it weakness disguised as virtue. When every struggle is labeled trauma and every difficulty is avoided, life itself becomes unbearable because life is struggle. Nietzsche's entire philosophy is a battle cry against this disease. He insisted that greatness comes from confrontation with chaos, not from sheltering in safety. The human spirit does not ascend by lying in comfort. It ascends by wrestling with pain and emerging sharper, harder, and more alive. When you avoid discomfort, you are not choosing peace, you are choosing slow death. Nietzsche compared this to the taming of wild animals, where once powerful creatures become docile and dependent after too much captivity. In the same way, a society obsessed with comfort turns human beings into obedient pets. The danger is not that comfort makes you feel good, but that it makes you forget what true vitality feels like. When every difficulty is softened, the will to power, the core of Nietzsche's philosophy, atrophies. Instead of striving upward, people sink into mediocrity, content with nothing more than being unbothered. Look around the modern world and you will see Nietzsche's prophecy fulfilled. Technology provides endless distraction to avoid boredom. Medicine numbs every ache before the body learns resilience. Self-help culture tells you to prioritize ease over effort, feelings over reality. The result is not stronger individuals, but fragile ones. Nietzsche warned that such fragility does not lead to happiness, but to resentment. When people lose their strength, they turn against those who still possess it. Weakness despises strength, because it reminds the weak of what they could have been. Thus, a comfort-obsessed culture eventually begins to demonize greatness itself. This is what Nietzsche called slave morality. It is the morality of the weak who cannot win through strength, so they redefine weakness as virtue. Instead of admiring those who overcome hardship, they glorify victimhood. Instead of praising excellence, they preach equality of outcome. Comfort is the soil where slave morality grows. Nietzsche's greatest warning was that this comfort-driven morality does not merely weaken individuals, it collapses civilizations. History shows again and again that empires fall, not because of enemies outside, but because of softness within. When a society forgets struggle, it loses the will to defend itself when real danger arrives. We live in a time Nietzsche would have called the most dangerous of all, a time when people believe their highest goal is to be comfortable. But he would remind us that comfort is never neutral. It is either a stepping stone that you endure on the way to greatness, or it is a grave that buries your potential forever. Pain, discomfort, and struggle are not the enemies, they are the teachers. Nietzsche insisted that the greatest individuals, from philosophers to artists to warriors, were forged in fire. They endured what others avoided, and because of it, they touched heights that comfort lovers will never know. To embrace Nietzsche's vision is to flip modern psychology on its head. Instead of avoiding discomfort, you run toward it. Instead of numbing pain, you ask what it is trying to teach you. Instead of craving safety, you accept risk as the price of being truly alive. The obsession with comfort blinds us to the truth that life is suffering, as Nietzsche declared. But suffering is not meaningless. It is the raw material from which meaning is built. When you embrace discomfort, you step into the very current of life itself, flowing against the stagnation that kills so many silently. Nietzsche's philosophy was not abstract. It was urgent. He was a man who lived with chronic pain, sickness, and solitude. Yet, he transformed that suffering into books that still burn with intensity today. His life was proof that comfort is not required for greatness. Struggle is. When he declared, "What does not kill me makes me stronger," he was not offering a cliché. He was offering the antidote to the modern sickness of comfort. Struggle, even when it breaks you, still gives you something comfort never will. A chance to rebuild yourself into someone unrecognizable from who you once were. The irony of comfort is that it promises life but delivers death. It promises peace but delivers stagnation. Nietzsche believed that only those who embrace discomfort can experience true joy, because joy is not the absence of pain, it is the triumph over it. Nietzsche understood something that modern psychology often forgets. Strength is not built in comfort, it is built in the crucible of conflict, resistance, and pain. By shielding people from this, modern soft psychology robs them of their inner weapons. Look closely at the culture of self-help today. The message is not become strong, but protect your feelings. It is not face the chaos of life, but make sure life never unsettles you. Nietzsche would have laughed bitterly at this inversion of values. When every discomfort is called trauma, people are taught to see themselves as permanent victims. The consequence is that resilience never grows. Instead of learning to stand taller after each blow, people collapse and call the collapse normal. Nietzsche's philosophy was the opposite of this fragile comfort. He believed that suffering was not only inevitable, but necessary for becoming who you are. The phrase he used was amor fati, love of fate. Not tolerating life's hardships, but embracing them as essential to greatness. Modern soft psychology tells people to avoid discomfort in order to heal. Nietzsche would argue that real healing requires walking straight into the fire of discomfort. Only by confronting what hurts do you transform pain into wisdom and despair into strength. Comfort trains people to believe that difficulty is unnatural, when in truth, difficulty is life itself. The moment you think you are entitled to ease, you have already begun to weaken. Nietzsche wanted us to understand that discomfort is not the exception, it is the rule. The obsession with comfort produces what Nietzsche called the last man. The last man is the human being who wants nothing more than safety, warmth, and entertainment. He seeks no adventure, no greatness, no risk. He wants to live long, not to live deeply. Nietzsche despised the last man because he is the symbol of cultural decline. A society of last men no longer produces visionaries or warriors. It produces bureaucrats, consumers, and sheep. The will to power, the force that drives creation and excellence, disappears. The irony is that the last man believes he is happy. He has comfort, stability, and predictability, but his happiness is shallow, fragile, and sterile. Nietzsche would say it is not happiness but sedation, the bliss of someone who has forgotten what life could be. This is the danger of soft psychology in the modern world. Instead of challenging people to rise, it teaches them to think comfortably. Instead of helping people expand their limits, it teaches them to shrink their ambitions. It preaches peace, but it creates dependence. Dependence on comfort is more dangerous than dependence on pain. Pain sharpens you, teaches you, forces you to grow. Comfort lulls you into a trance where you don't even notice your decline. Nietzsche's warning is that by the time you realize it, it may be too late. To Nietzsche, the will to power is the essence of life. Everything alive pushes outward, upward, beyond. A tree fights through rock to reach the sun. An animal fights for territory, a human fights for meaning. But when you worship comfort, you suppress this will to power. Suppression of the will to power leads to nihilism, the sense that nothing matters. If you never fight, never struggle, never risk, then life feels empty. Comfort does not create meaning. Only struggle against resistance can give birth to meaning. This is why Nietzsche attacked the morality of his age, which glorified weakness as virtue. He saw in it the seeds of nihilism, the slow decline of human greatness into mediocrity. In his eyes, comfort-driven morality was nothing less than spiritual suicide. Modern culture repeats the same mistake. Every slogan is about self-care and feeling safe, but Nietzsche would ask, safe from what? Safe from the very forces that make you strong, safe from reality itself. Safety at all costs is not life, it is paralysis. Nietzsche did not want you to destroy comfort entirely. He wanted you to use it, not worship it. A moment of rest between battles is fine, but the battle must come. The danger is when rest becomes the entire purpose of existence. This is why Nietzsche admired figures like the Greek tragedians and warriors. They did not shy away from pain, but sang about it, faced it, and turned it into beauty. For them, struggle was not an enemy but a companion. That is the spirit he wanted modern people to revive. To live by Nietzsche's vision is to distrust anything that promises you an easy path. The easy path is always the path of decline. The hard path, filled with obstacles, is the only one that awakens your potential. Discomfort is the measure of whether you are truly alive. Nietzsche's critique of religion was also rooted in this. He believed Christianity promoted comfort from promises of eternal rest and escape from suffering. He called it a slave morality because it taught people to embrace weakness instead of rising above it. In the same way, Nietzsche would criticize modern ideologies that preach equality of comfort instead of excellence of character. By lowering every standard to avoid discomfort, they also lower the possibility of greatness. To him, this was the ultimate tragedy. The danger is not just personal but cultural. A generation obsessed with comfort produces no builders, no conquerors, no visionaries. It produces people who seek only pleasure. And when pleasure rules, society rots from the inside until it collapses at the first real test. Nietzsche's answer was simple but brutal. Embrace hardship voluntarily. Do not wait for life to force it upon you. Seek out challenges, create resistance, and demand of yourself what comfort tells you to avoid. Only then do you escape the trap of the last man. This is not cruelty, it is liberation. To accept discomfort as your companion is to be free from fear. Nothing can terrify you because you no longer live for comfort. You live for strength, for creation, for the dance of life that only the brave ever experience. Nietzsche himself lived this truth in isolation and sickness. He endured migraines, paralysis, and solitude. Yet he turned these into the fire that produced Thus Spoke Zarathustra, a book not of despair but of overflowing strength. His life proved his philosophy. He wanted you to realize that comfort cannot give you joy, but the triumph over suffering can. Joy is not soft. Joy is the laughter that comes after you have faced death, failure, or pain and survived. Joy belongs to those who dare, not those who hide. If you listen carefully, Nietzsche is still warning us today. Every screen that tempts you to scroll instead of work, every pill that numbs instead of heals, every slogan that says you deserve to relax is part of the same poison. The question is whether you will drink it. The antidote is not to hate comfort, but to dominate it. Use it when needed, but never let it rule you. Rest only to return to the fight. Nietzsche wanted human beings to treat life as a battlefield, not a waiting room. When you accept this, everything changes. Discomfort no longer feels like punishment. It feels like proof that you are alive. Struggle no longer feels like failure. It feels like the path toward becoming something greater than you were yesterday. Nietzsche's words are more relevant now than ever because we are living in the age of the last man. We are told every day to seek comfort above all else. But the truth is the same as it was in his time. Comfort is your enemy because it kills you without leaving scars. Nietzsche did not simply warn against comfort. He gave us a vision of what life could be without it. He wanted human beings to rise, to transform, to become creators instead of consumers. His call was not to endure life passively, but to shape it actively, even violently, against the grain of comfort. The figure Nietzsche gave us to embody this ideal was the Übermensch, the overman, the one who rises above the herd. The overman does not fear discomfort because he knows discomfort is the arena where he proves his power. He does not seek safety because he understands safety is the cage that kills spirit. For Nietzsche, the overman is not some distant fantasy, it is the possibility buried inside each individual. But it cannot be unlocked by chasing comfort. It can only be unlocked by discipline, courage, and the relentless will to confront life in all its brutal honesty. The modern world, with its constant offers of ease, is the greatest test of whether you will rise or fall. Will you take the soft path, the one padded with pleasure and distraction, or will you choose the hard path, where you sweat, bleed, and carve strength into your soul? That choice is everything. Nietzsche believed that greatness requires risk. Without risk, there is no courage. Without courage, there is no creation. Comfort eliminates risk, which means it eliminates the very possibility of becoming anything more than average. The price of avoiding discomfort is the death of your highest self. The danger of soft psychology is that it confuses kindness with strength. It tells people to seek validation, to shield themselves from struggle, to be endlessly gentle with their own weaknesses. Nietzsche would call this a betrayal of life itself. Life is not gentle, it is fierce, and to thrive in it, you must also be fierce. This is why Nietzsche admired tragedy. In tragedy, human beings face suffering head-on and turn it into art. There is no escape, no soft comfort, only the brutal recognition of fate and the joy of standing tall in the face of it. To him, this was true health, not comfort, but strength. You cannot eliminate suffering, but you can decide what suffering means. For the weak, suffering is a reason to hide. For the strong, suffering is a reason to grow. Nietzsche would tell you that your suffering is your greatest possession because it gives you the chance to become more than you are. The modern world tells you to avoid pain at any cost. Nietzsche tells you to use pain as a ladder. Each wound, each failure, each rejection is a rung. The more you climb, the higher you rise above the comfort-obsessed crowd that never dares to leave the ground. Comfort makes promises it cannot keep. It tells you that ease will bring peace, but instead it brings boredom. It tells you that safety will bring joy, but instead it brings emptiness. Nietzsche unmasks this lie and shows that true joy is earned, not given. What is true joy? It is the laughter that erupts after you have faced despair and still chosen to dance. It is the power you feel after years of discipline transform you into someone unrecognizable. It is the pride of knowing that you endured what would have broken others. Nietzsche's life was itself an example. He was plagued by sickness, isolation, and rejection, yet he wrote with the voice of thunder. His philosophy did not come from comfort, but from suffering transformed into brilliance. He is proof that struggle does not diminish you, it creates you. To live by Nietzsche's vision in the modern world means rejecting the role of the last man. It means refusing to be lulled by endless entertainment, refusing to hide behind fragile psychology, refusing to bow before the cult of comfort. It means reclaiming the right to be strong. Strength is not found in luxury, but in resistance. Muscles grow only when torn. Characters grow only when tested. Nietzsche's insight is that the very things we try to avoid, fear, pain, hardship, are the same things that carry us toward the greatness. Avoid them, and you avoid yourself. The choice is stark. You can live comfortably and fade unnoticed, or you can live dangerously and carve your name into existence. Nietzsche would ask, which will you choose? To him, the answer is obvious. Life is too brief to waste on comfort.